Welcome to Go Play eSports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, eSports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of eSports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play!
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner, once again on Go Play eSports Podcast. Let me tell you something, guys. It's been a grind. I've been enjoying the time off. I've been knocking out countless of podcasts. But because I love the culture, I love gaming, I love eSports, I love reaching out to people and educating the public, man, I will not stop. I will never stop. And although that I'm fatigued, I'm still here, and I'm still excited for today's show and, future shows, to be quite honest with you guys. But let's get to the art of business of things. You already know what time it is. Let's go. Let's see here. ESPN and EA Sports, an upcoming slate of Madden NFL 20 Championship Series, MCS, covered. It's going to be covered and coming to ESPN2 and ESPN app on April 26, 2020. ESPN will broadcast a 5-hour block of Madden programming, including a live 3-hour Madden NFL 20 Bowl Last Chance qualifier. The lineup, man, I'll just give you some of the lineup. Celebrity Tournament Championship at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 1 p.m. you have episode 1. You have episode 2 at 1:30, and then you have that Last Chance qualifier at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another good move for EA again. They've released all these sports games and have been able to merge with traditional sports, like I stated in previous episodes. But this came out new, hot off the press today. So, you're going to have people tuning into ESPN, man, looking at this Madden Challenge and getting some insight on how that league works and how that goes. And can't wait to see how that progresses. And, let's just drop that bomb again for EA. Let's drop that bomb for ESPN. Let's drop that bomb for eSports. So, before I introduce this guest, man, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm proud of this young man. I've been looking at him for the last couple months. He is driven, he is focused. For a young age, I know he has a support system. We're gonna get it all into that. But I'm proud of him, man, and I hope him the best, and I hope he stays blessed and stays on the right track. And we're going to get into his story. So without further ado, this young man is a 17-year-old high school senior from Washington, D.C. He is a 2020 NASCAR driver for the Diversity Driver and race the late model stock cars in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series, along with the legend cars in the Bojangle Summer Shootout with Rev Racing. He is also a Richmond Raceway eSports development driver. Amazing, over 100 wins and 1,200 starts on iRacing simulator. He plans to attend Winston-Salem State University in the fall. Let's just drop another bomb for those 100 wins, man. Without any further ado, let me introduce Rajah Caruth to the show. What's up, Rajah?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, Christopher. Hey, everybody.
Now, I just did a brief introduction. Can you tell the audience a little bit more in depth about who you are?
All right, sir. We'll do. Well, my name is Rajah. I'm a senior at School Without Walls High School in Washington, D.C., and I'm a member of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. It's my second year in the program, and in addition to racing in real life, I race a lot on iRacing.com, which is a motorsports simulator, which is where I really got my start in racing. And on there, I'm in the Richmond Raceway eSports driver development program as well. And I'm attending Winston-Salem State University in the fall with pursuit of a motorsports management major.
That's cool, man. That's exciting stuff. I wanted to ask you, being in high school and having somewhat of this type of success, man, because you've had some people to cover you. Are your peers, do they know what's going on with you, or is it something that's kind of flying under the radar with them?
At first it was flying under the radar, but over the past year, basically all my friends are hip to it and understand what I'm doing and why I'm not at school half the time, and just they know now. How
is that feeling, man? Because you and I have talked before. I'm a high school teacher, so I know what that environment is like. What's your emotions on that? Like your raw emotions?
I mean, it's cool, to have, I guess, some recognition from my peers. That's pretty cool, personally. But other than that, I try not to, get too hyped about it. It's honestly, it's no different than, some people, doing different internships and stuff like that early in their high school career to further, I guess, their pursuit to have a job in a certain field.
And before going on iRacing, like, what games did you play before, Roger? Like, were you a console guy, PC guy? What were you playing?
I was a console guy, so I didn't actually. The last time I had a console was like 2017, but I was on a PS3 for a good 4 years, and I played like NASCAR 15, NASCAR the Game Inside Line, Need for Speed. A lot of just racing and car games in general. And that's really it. I wasn't really a big RPG person, although I really like Battlefield 3, but I wasn't really that good at it. But I just, car games was my thing, especially the NASCAR games on the console.
So your love for cars, like where did it all start for you, man? Because, it's funny that you mentioned that you were on the PS3 playing racing cars. Was it somebody close to you that drove cars, or you just had like an attachment to that whole thing?
I just had an attachment really from a young age. I didn't grow up in a racing family or anything, and my parents, I watched Cars for the first time. I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I believe from then on it really just it was there. That the passion was there, and being that young, it didn't really resonate with me, but I guess my parents realized it wasn't a phase at a certain point and have supported me.
So what you're saying is Matt Queen dropped that seed.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's awesome, man. And so, like, moving forward, like, so you started on the console. So when did you first start? Was it just up to like 2 years ago where you joined iRacing?
Yeah, June 2018 was my first time on iRacing, or June 18, 2018, my first show on iRacing. And yeah, that's really where I started. Mm-hmm. Before that, I really just did go-karts, and that was for a summer, and I didn't really do much in those, but it was a good thing to get my feet wet in racing.
That's awesome, man. I gotta give kudos to your parents for supporting you, man, because that's big, man. Because even though it might have not seemed big to you, you were training your eye and training your adjustments, man, at an early state, man. Especially when you just hopping into it 2 years ago, and the amount of accomplishments that you had. Let's go into iRacing, man. Like, explain, to the audience what iRacing is and how they can partake in it if they want. Like, describe that whole format of iRacing for us.
Well, iRacing is a motorsport simulator, and so it really allows you to race any car in the world, and almost any race car in the world, at any racetrack in the world. And the pros use it really to get ready for their upcoming races, and at the same time, you have avid sim racers and gamers in general that get on it and have a fun time with it.
Yeah. And so how's the seasons built out? As far as, I know you can get on and practice. Like if somebody wanted to possibly compete, how would that go?
So there's various different competitions that you can run in, and they're all, once you buy like a certain cars and such, you can really race anything. And so I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but you can really race anything, and there's races every hour, every other hour, every 15 minutes that you can sign up for and really learn, and who knows, you could be racing with pro NASCAR drivers, pro IndyCar, Formula One, open wheel, and racers from all across the world.
And I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, but I'm just trying to ask these questions because I might have a kid listening, man, that's like you, that really wants to get into racing. So how much is like that iRacing membership, and how much is like each car, like just from your point of view? I'm not asking like a broadband scale out of what everything, what every car is, the cost on every car.
I mean, every car is like $10 on to purchase, and a lot of them come standard on iRacing to begin with. Same with the tracks. The tracks are like $10, $15. So in terms of actual hardware, I mean, it's less than $1,000, honestly, to get on there and be competitive. You don't need to spend, thousands of dollars on getting fancy rigs and stuff like that. You can really just get something really basic, and from there, it really goes down to the time you put into it. You got to make sure you have all the system requirements on iRacing that the simulator requires. But other than that, it really is just it's pretty straightforward and not that much really to it, to be honest.
Mm. And speaking of rigs, like what kind of rig did you first start out with, man? Because I want everybody to get a scope on like how you really started, and like you said, you don't have to go get these real big simulators and that move around and everything else. So just let's break down like your first rig, and what are you working with now?
My first rig, it was just a desk chair, and it's still well. When I first started off, it was a desk chair and the wheel attached to the desk, and luckily, like within the past week, I've been able to upgrade it. I got a sponsor, SimSeats, that hooked me up. That's from down in Richmond, Virginia. But before that, I was, just like a lot of other people, just with a desk chair and just going at it. Pretty much, that's it.
And like you mentioned going at it, and let's talk about like that grind. Like how many hours did you have to put in to get to where you are now?
Just hours every day, a lot. Sometimes to the point where I would get myself burnt out, but I would spend anywhere from an hour or two to 5, 6, 7, 8. The later half of the day, I'd probably sometimes wouldn't even leave my room, just because I would be so involved and focused on trying to improve.
And is it more of a skill set, or is it, because I'll tell you, Roger, I've played Gran Turismo, and you can tune the car and everything else. Is iRacing like that, or is it more of everybody's kind of on the equal playing field and it's all about skill set?
So yes and no. So in terms of the different car modifications that you can like do on Gran Turismo, like upgrading the car and such, you don't have that on iRacing. On iRacing, all of like the horsepower and the aerodynamics are pretty even for everybody. But with that said, there's the different setups you can do with the tire pressures, the chassis, and different things you do to the actual car itself can elevate you and make you better than your other people. And that's really it. All the cars are essentially equal, and they're essentially equal, and at the same time, in certain series and divisions, you can there's opportunities to edit to the changes of the car setup to put you ahead of other people.
And so, like before anything, I always tell people that come on the show, before anything, I'm a visual artist and graphic designer. I'm big on graphic